Hey Mahendra, you write about everybody. Why don't you write about us? We are one of the biggest success story. So can you do something? I said, well, let me start. What is my purpose in life? You think in that terms, but in early 20s and 30s, you are more aligned with the competitive world to create something, some niche for yourself. If you like some subject or some endeavor that you want to do it, do with seriousness and devote all the time you could to achieve your goal.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. Their optimism, patience, idealism, and courage, these are their attributes which we hope to bring to life in our conversations with them. So if you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Mahendra Doshi. He is a writer, journalist, and historian from San Jose, California. In the 70s, while living in Flushing, Queens, he wrote for various newspapers like the India Abroad, Trans India, and India Times. He recently published Surat to San Francisco: How the Patels from Gujarat Established the Hotel Business in California. This book details how three Patels from Surat surreptitiously arrived in America to help their families escape economic misery. Mahendra spent 8 years researching the his hotel history, interviewing over 150 Patels. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Sabrina. Hmm.
And I have to share before we get into it, this is our first episode. We've taken a small hiatus, but this is our first episode with Amitu living in India. So,
Mhm.
welcome
Hi,
back.
thank you, thank you. I'll share some India stories later on or in following podcasts. I want to get into it. I mean, what makes somebody study 8 years how the Patels pretty much own the hotels and motels in America? What drives somebody? Is it just curiosity, or you know, walk me through that because that's just I find amazing.
Well, as you know, Patels own 62% of all the hotels and motels in America. So while I was staying retired, one of the friend who is also a hotelier in San Jose asked me, "Hey Mahendra, you write about everybody. Why don't you write about us? We are one of the biggest success story. So can you do something?" I said, well, I periodically come across one Patel in Pennsylvania or LA doing so good, having a multiple of hotels and motels. So I thought, well, let me start. So I started doing little research, but there's nothing about Patels in our archive. I went to University of California, Berkeley. It has one of the biggest South Asian library where there are more than 500, 600 books on India and South Asia. But I couldn't find a single book telling me Patel's story. So I thought, well, it didn't really disappoint me. I said, well, I'll start a little oral history. So I started getting a story from one Patel that led me to the other Patel, and then finally led me to the founders' descendants. All the founders are dead, so but their descendants are across the country, and so I was able to start with them. And it took me a long time. I even went to Surat to get some stories. I went to Houston, I went to Dallas, I went to Boston, I went everywhere to get the stories. And finally, I was able to uh, collect enough data to write their stories.
Can we get an idea of numbers? Like, how many, first of all, how many Indians are in America? And then how many Patels? are there in
The
India?
hotel business.
Pardon?
In the hotel
No, no,
business.
not in the hotel business. Let's look at it high level. All right. How many Americans are there now? 300, 320? I don't know. What's the population of America,
How
Sabrina?
many Indians are in America?
Yeah, how
Close
many?
to
If there are 320 million people in
about 4
America, how many
million.
Indians?
4
4 million.
million. Yes. And there are basically about 1.5 millions in the Bay Area, where I am.
And okay, and how
Uh,
many Patels or Gujaratis?
Hotels are probably over 75,000.
You're saying 75,000 people own 62% of the hotels in America?
Well, not all Patels are into the hotel business.
So
There
you
are about 22,000 Patels who are running the motels. So
Okay.
when I said 22, they're probably wife, husband, and son could be
sure,
included in that
family. So
family.
22,000 Patels own 60% of the motels in America.
62, yes,
I don't know what to say. That's
It's
just
fascinating, isn't it?
yes.
I
Eh,
always wondered growing up when I was in college, how the Gujaratis got into the motel business. And I never took it upon myself to read about it or look it up. And so, I have your book right here.
correct.
And honestly, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating how it all began, with three
three
different
families.
Patels, three Patels, right? One can you tell us a little blurb? I don't want to give too much because I want people to buy the book, but can you tell us a little bit about how it began?
Okay. See, this Patel come from a district called Surat. In 1900, Surat was a very large district. It included so many villages and towns, and in Gujarat, or basically in most of the India, either there's too much rain or too little rain. So when there's too much rain, there's not enough crops to sell or feed on it. So, so what happens? And Patel means in India or in Gujarat is a farmer. That's what they
Farmer,
are.
right? Yes, that's
Originally, were farmers, or there are still farmers. Most of the Patels in
okay.
Gujarat. So, and they usually have a large family, three, four sons, two, three daughters. So what happens uh, they are most of them educated no more than fourth grade. So once you are like a 12 or 14, you get into the of tilling farms. That's what their uh, children grow into do. So if you are the youngest child or youngest or two youngest children, your job when the times are bad is to go to either Madras or Bombay or Calcutta, and if you can't go to they call it vilayat, foreign country.
Okay.
So you go there on and help family pay the little bit of that, because uh, agrarian agrarians British policy was, when you produce whatever, they take 45% of the crops as a taxation. So
Okay.
there is nothing much left, because you are a large family, what you sell, what you feed.
This is,
So
sorry, pre-partition.
these children, when they go to
Mhm.
either Africa or Madras or Bombay, they send the money home to reduce the debt. So this Kanji Manchu, the main founder, he had five brothers and one sisters, and he was married and he wasn't getting anywhere in Gujarat. There wasn't enough to eat. So, so his family says, "Why don't you go abroad if you could?" So he got a chance. One of the Patels was going to Trinidad. So he said, "Well, I'll join you." So he joined there, and it was in those days used to be about $200 dollars to send somebody abroad. So his family somehow managed to buy a passage from Bombay to Trinidad via France. So he arrives in
Plane
Trinidad.
or
The
boat?
only say again.
Just to get an idea, $200, was that a plane or was it a boat?
No boat. There was no plane service in those days, or
So
if there
boat.
was so expensive. I'm talking about 1930. So, and it took them almost 3.5 weeks from Bombay to San
Trinity.
Fernando, Trinidad.
Okay.
So in Trinidad, there were a group of Patels who were running the grocery kind of store in Main Street in San Fernando. So what he did, they gave him a place to sleep at night in the store, and gave him a bicycle to peddle the groceries and clothes and all that. But he was no making no more than $10, and he did it for almost a year. And he says, "Why I'm here if I'm not making any money to send home?" So they told him that the only other way for you is to go to America. That's a land of ghee and mud. That's where, or milk and honey. That's
Hmm.
where you would make your money. And they told him that anybody who goes to America makes it big. So go there. But however, it was difficult to come to America by the immigration law of 1917 and 1924 has barred Asian immigration. So you cannot legally come. Only way you come to America in those days if you are a student or you are a diplomat. That is the only way they could come, or they were allowing some business visa. Other than that, they couldn't. So there was a illegal migration from West Indies, from Panama, from Mexico. So Kanji Manchu somehow managed to get a phony visa to come to America. So he took a small boat from Trinidad to New York, landed in New York, tried to get a job. They wouldn't hire him. First of all, he couldn't speak much of English.
No
So,
documents.
so no,
No
so
documents.
Illegal.
hardly.
What a
I mean,
racism.
yeah. So he couldn't get a job in New York. So somebody, and there was an underground railroad of Punjabi Gadars, followers. They told him, and they were actually recruiting people from India to work in the farms. So they said, go take a train to Oakland and then go to Sacramento and you'll get a job. And that's what he did. So
It's
he arrived and started working in Punjabi farms for I'm sorry, about 10 or 20 cents an hour. So somehow he joined with the Nana Lal, who was there earlier. And Nana Lal has a funny story. He was the first one to come to America via Panama in 1922 by a banana boat. He was a stowaway banana boat. He paid $75 somebody to bribe to take him to California. So he came to California, and from there he went to San Joaquin to work. In those days, only job you come if you are illegal, work in the farms or do other low-paying jobs. And so
I
this is
don't
the
get the
story.
connection.
so then
Okay.
from there.
Yeah, I won't tell Trump that these people were illegals. So, um, so
You know
So
how
from
much.
there, he has an opportunity
to buy real estate
to buy a motel.
with that
Right.
capital, with working as an illegal, they saved enough money after sending money home.
This is what happened. So these people from 1930 into Nanalal and Dilal later joined him, and so they were working in the farms, making no more than probably 55 to $60 a month. And Kanji Manchu's wife had died, and he had the three children. So he was sending a little bit of money. But in those days, even if you say $5 to $10, save $5 to $10 and send them to Surat is a lot of money. It was a $1 was 10 rupees. So, and in those days, 1 rupees had a lot of buying power. So somehow Kanji Manchu's kid survived with his help. However, these people from 1937 to 1942, they work in the farms. There were immigration raid. So every time immigration raids come, they are forewarned. So they go to the next farm till the uh, till the federal people leave. and then they go back. And even the owners of the farms took advantage of them, and they made them work a little harder. Say, if you don't work, I'll report you
Uh,
to the immigration. So they suffered all kinds of harassment and discrimination. But they had one thing, they were very determined. So they weren't going to go back home empty handed. He said, because their family sent them with money, and they didn't want to have that money wasted. So they wanted to do something. So they somehow hoped that better days were coming. And better days finally came in the form of World War II, when Japanese were declared enemies and interned in the 30 camps across the country. So one of the Japanese lady, these guys were living off work. They asked Kanji Manchu, he said, can you take care of my hotel while I'm gone to the camp? And when I and the Kanji Manchu was meantime suffering from some disability, he says, yeah, sure, sure, I will do that. So $350 down, $70 a month, 5 years lease. This is how we did. It was a single room occupancy. Single room occupancy is like in India, we call it a chali system. You know, you have a room, and
Sure.
then your bathroom is down the road.
mm,
I'm say down the hall. So,
yeah.
It's just a room.
and the rates he was charging like 50 cents a day or 350 a week. But
But
it
it's
did.
interesting how, World War II, this owner has to go to a camp, and that changed the trajectory of the Patels.
Correct. The World War created an opportunity for them.
Right, right.
Until then, they were suffering, they were barely making a living, but they were kind of in a limbo. They can't go back home, and they cannot kind of stay for to make money. So this,
Amazing. I
Would you
wanted to
say?
read something, a blurb
Yeah,
from
go for
the book. And, Amitu and I are both Sindhis. And so this blurb here, a Sindhi businessman from Gibraltar who met student Govindji Patel on his way to America in 1911, tried to recruit him for work in Gibraltar, asking, why do you want to go to America? Nobody earns there. It requires long and very expensive travel time and does not provide enough earnings. A bad, bad country for families who go there, and you will suffer a lot. It was interesting to me since he was Sindhi, and Sindhis were, well, at that point, it was still 1911. So partition hadn't happened yet. So they're very interesting. And in the book, you go through not just the, motel business, how it started, but politics, Indians in politics, immigration. It's very fascinating and very thorough research. So congratulations on this.
I want to understand. Okay, three Patel families started a motel business, but now it's like spread, like you said, 22,000. What makes us Indians copy, replicate, execute so well? And is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because we're creating competition within ourselves. So, did you? I mean, you said you spoke to 150 Patels. Tell me a little bit about what you found in common between these 150 Patels, and what struck you that made these 150 Patels successful.
sure. Okay. The hotel business didn't grow overnight. It After Kanji Manchu moved to San Francisco in 1947. In meantime, President Truman liberalized the immigration laws for India. So what they did says the American government thought that India, being an English-speaking country and is such a large country, so
And cheap labor.
we should allow some Indians to come to America. So they allowed under Loose Seller Act, they allowed 100 Indians a,
A
a
year,
year. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 100
A
Indians a
day?
year.
A
a
A
year?
year,
year, not
What
a
year was
month.
this?
Yeah, 1947. They passed the law in 46. It's called Loose Seller Act. Loose was a Time magazine's
Sure.
editor's wife or owner's wife.
uh,
Uh, so they So what happened that meantime this Kanji Manchu's fame has spread in Surat. He said this guy has become a big hotelier in San Francisco, California. So when this visa opened up, quite a few Surtis applied for that. So all got within a year or two, they got the visa. So now they were most of them were fourth grade educated. There were one or two were college educated, but they decided that why not we write to Kanji Manchu, and they wrote to Kanji Manchu says, hey, we just got the visa. Where do we go? He said, come here. I got a motel for you. I got a motel to stay for you, and I'll find you a job. So all these 30 people between 1947 and 1953 came to San Francisco under the tutelage of Kanji Manchu. So Kanji Manchu had a novel method of getting these guys settled in America. So he said, okay, first you work in the farm for 6 to 8 months to a year, save some enough money, and then come. And if you are a little shortage, I will give you a loan. It was called handshake loan. You here is a $300 you are short. Pay when you can. By drib and dab method is okay. So this is how Patel started the to settle in San Francisco.
Does
They were
that
all
still
in
work
the
today with the Patels?
pardon.
Handshake, does the handshake loan still
Handshake,
work
yeah.
today?
Well, now I don't know, but in those days, the one of the descendants, his name is Vijay Patel, from San Francisco. He told me that his father gave a handshake loan to more than few hundred people, and he never lost a penny.
Wow,
So
that's fantastic.
as to how the Patel got into this motor business as their main way of living in America is that because once the law change, there was a Alien Land Act where you cannot buy anything; you can only lease. That's why all these people were leasing.
Mm.
So after World War II, this this law in California was cancelled. So Patel started buying hotels, and a couple of the Patel by 1960 has already bought the hotels, not motel. They were not into motel business as yet, not until 1970s. So they started buying, and then one Patel got is, oh, I want to go in motel. Okay, you start, learn here, and then this is how Patel business spread.
Can I ask
I,
a stupid question?
Please.
What's the difference between a hotel and a motel without asking Google? I don't know.
Now I can tell you. No, it's not a stupid question. It's okay. Motels mean motor lodge. So in 1950s when the Eisenhower opened up the highways, so before that, people who were traveling from say San Francisco to Los Angeles. So it was it was a long journey. Probably took 10, 12 hours in those days. So what do you do meantime? So meantime, they used to have a little place on the highway. They can rest, eat, and then drive back.
But not
So
spend the night.
not spend the night. So
Stopover.
so so somebody in 1925 had started a motel lodge, and he tried to fit motor lodge in his neon sign, but it wasn't long enough to fit the sign. So it called it motel and hotel, or motor and hotel, motel. See, this is how. So motel is usually, yeah, it has very few services.
Mhm.
It doesn't have a restaurant. It has a parking space right there. So you park your car, go into the motel, stay overnight, and on your way next day.
Okay.
Interesting. Motels, I know, is where all the crime scenes happen whenever you watch a movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
That's
but
all.
nowadays Patels are more into hotels, high end hotels.
I was going to ask you, Four Seasons, Grand Hyatt, Marriott, Intercon, are they owning these branded hotels nowadays, or are they
Oh,
still
they do,
non-branded?
they do.
Okay,
Quite a few, quite a few.
but they own
Uh,
not the management company; they own the real estate.
No, they personally own and they have somebody else manage them. Or Patel have uh, compiled enormous wealth among themselves. But one thing I must tell you, not all Patels are related. Uh, they are they are Patels like a Johnson or Smith in America. They are is a common name. They basically most of them from Gujarat, but after Idi Amin, they also came from South Africa. I mean Uganda, South Africa, East Africa. Because what happened in 1970s, you if you come and open up a hotel or motel business, you need to spend 10,000 to get a green card.
Cheap.
Then it became 40,000. Now is under Trump was 500,000.
Now you just
this
call Vivek
book
Ramaswamy.
this book is turning into a film, correct?
Yes,
Tell us
correct. A
about that. How did that
documentary,
come about? A documentary.
docu-film.
Yes. How did that come about? And
Netflix?
where will we be able to see this?
Okay, the movie is still being made.
Okay.
There is a group of American-born Indians who work for ESPN and some other film jobs. They came across my book and they said, "Well, this is something that we can work on it." So
Yeah.
they bought the book rights and they've started it. So they've done a little initial work, but it will take a little while.
It's
Did I
And
mention to you that Sabrina and I are also actors? Okay, we're very good.
We're
Very good
very,
actors.
very good.
Yeah, Sabrina, you mentioned about the Sindhis, but in 1911, in Panama, Sindhis had a thriving tourist business.
Okay. In
Trading,
Panama.
trading
Panama.
or hotel? What
No,
business?
no, tourist business. They were selling merchandise to the tourist.
Yeah, trading.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Okay.
They
Which
probably
they
still do.
continue to do now. Yeah.
There is a good book about it by an author. It is, if you will see in my book, in the work, in the end, it's called the Sindhi Business by Markowitz.
Okay.
Read that; it's very
Yeah.
Let's get
interesting.
him on. Let's get him on,
Yeah.
Sabrina.
I'm interested in learning that one too. Okay. Now I want to know, and Amit, if you want to go back to the motel history of the motel weekend, but I want to know how you co-founded the Miss India California beauty pageant. How did
Yeah,
that come about?
I like that
Oh,
topic, Sabrina.
that was interesting. When I was in New York, I used to work for India Abroad. I used to work for Trans India. It didn't pay much in those days. It was
Were you single when you founded this?
when we were single. I wasn't married, and so my job, India Abroad came in 1972. Is the guy called Gopal Raju. At one point it became one of the biggest Indian ethnic newspaper in America, and so I was working for the papers, and uh, I was always involved in the community affairs. So some guys, they had a India festival, Miss India USA, and so I participated and just as a volunteer in early parts. And when I moved to California, they asked me if I would do it here, and this is what I did. I did three of them in San Jose, California, and it was very interesting experience.
Wait,
Can
which
I
years were those?
Was 1980, 82, 81, 82, and 83.
Okay.
can I
Okay.
ask you a personal question, sir?
Yes, please.
Did you marry Miss India California?
No, I didn't.
Fair question,
But
right,
I
Sabrina?
married a beautiful girl, no question about it.
Ah.
The
And
runner-up.
then the next thing is you collaborated and published two other books, Who's Who Among Indians in the USA in 1978 and Who's Who Among Indians in the Western United States in 1981. Do you have those
Correct.
there?
This is my 81 book,
Okay.
and this is my 76 book.
Little.
Is Sabrina in the book? Is she,
I was born in 77, so by 78 I'm a who's who.
Yeah.
is Mr.
So what
Ramaswamy in the book?
happened when I was with the newspaper, and I had a lot of materials and data, and I started mailing it, and people send their biography and photos. So this was my first book, and some famous people are in my first who's who. One was Padmini Ramchandran, the actress.
Okay.
Yeah, he's also
Very
in
cool.
she was with Raj Kapoor in Just Desh Mein Ganga Bahti Hai.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anyone else? Who else?
And a Kabir Bedi in my second book.
Okay. See, I'm
And have you heard the actress named Dipti Nawal? She was offbeat actress, and she was one of the girl from went from New York to Bombay and become a film star.
okay.
You're an author, pretty unusual. Like you don't do crime or like you pick a topic. You write about things that interest you. How do you pick your topics? Like hoteliers,
I
Patels, and you know.
Uh, well, I write about something that hasn't been done before, like who's who, and then I also write about Indian actresses and actors, and this is what I used to do. So I give you an interesting anecdote. In 1975, Hema Malini, in those days, she was a big star. But I left India in 1960s, and I didn't hear much about Hema Malini. So my editor says, "Why don't you go and see Hema Malini and write about her for our newspaper?" I say, "Hema Malini, who is she?" He said, "Well, she's a dream girl, they call her, famous actress." So I went to see her, and you won't believe. As soon as I saw her, I froze. She's the most beautiful girl I
She's
ever
beautiful.
saw.
This was in New York?
New York,
Okay, so you went to see her.
1975.
Okay. Wow. That's exciting.
Yes,
Wait, are
yes.
you still writing on your free time now?
I not recently.
No.
I spent so much time writing about the books and trying to publicize as much as I can.
Right.
And one other avenue opened because of my book. Some Patel has decided to create a Patel museum in San Francisco.
Oh, wonderful.
And they have put me in charge to write about the or organize the Patel story in the museum.
Okay.
Uh,
Makes sense. I want to ask you something. Sabrina and I have had this conversation where we ask our guests about what Indians think about Indians in America. And when I say that question, if I ask the Indians today, and I have because I'm in Bombay, about what they think of Indians in America, the reaction is not as positive as one would expect. And their words like arrogance or they don't know anything outside of America. Uh, there's quite a negative view of Indian Americans from India in current generation. And I don't know if it's a fair reflection or not, but you are a man with a lot of experience, and you were in India, and in the 60s, you left to come to America. What do you think today of the Indians, the expats, and what do you think people are saying about what's happening in India today? I know that's a loaded question, but I want to know what your thought process is.
well, I can tell you that I go to India often, if not every year, every other year. I was there this year and I was there last year. It might be to some mind is a negative connotation about America. However, where I was staying in one of the big building in Andheri in Bombay with one of my relatives, and he told me all the young people who are college educated are in America. 75% of the building. Okay. So even though there may be some negative image of America, but people in India would, if get a chance, would like to come here.
So,
No
education is
question.
better still in America. If there's
Absolutely.
opportunity economically, they prefer to go to America,
Yeah.
right? What
And in
about
a,
all the expats that are coming back to India, like myself? What do you think about that trend? Is that going to continue with the economic opportunities that are currently in India?
sure, high tech people from here are there going and establishing themselves and creating a Silicon Valley in India or in Bangalore.
Sure.
However, most people of my age, they wouldn't go back. People in 60s and 70s, they wouldn't go
They're
back.
too used to
My
America.
mom said she wouldn't go back.
Yeah, because there's nothing for us. Our children are here, and our friends, most of them have passed away. So what do you go? Where what do you
Right.
do? Plus the
But
housing. If I want to go to Bombay, I couldn't afford 2 crore for a flat in America in Bombay.
2 crore doesn't get you anything
No.
in Banjra, Worli, Lower Parel, not even in Vasai and Vidar now. I mean, honestly, 2 CR
It's
now
gotten really
is,
expensive there,
Yeah,
has it?
yeah, 2 CR
yeah,
is $250,000 about,
Okay.
Sabrina.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Even in
okay.
Calcutta, even in Calcutta,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
less than a
Everything's gone
crore
up.
and a half to find a flat.
Yeah. What's
Wow.
the reaction like when someone like Gukesh, 18-year-old wins the World Chess Championship? In India, he's a national hero, looked up. All the Indians over here want to be Gukesh, the geniuses. What's the reaction in America and the Indian community? Do they also celebrate it? Or it's like, it's chess?
No, they do. They do. Every time Indian cricket wins here, there is a big parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, and even in the Olympics, we had a few victories, and uh, people in Facebook and even in Indian ethnic papers, they were writing as much as possible about them too. So people are interested, and India, no matter if you like, they used to say in 70s, if you take an Indian out of India, but you can't take India out of it.
Yeah.
As someone who never lived there, even I'm very proud of things that happen in India, and we'll read about it and discuss it. I don't know about the younger generation, if they still have that tie. I guess it depends on the parents.
Uh,
No, no. My children were born here. I've got two children, Aditi and Parthiv, and they would not like to go to India. And sometimes we have to force them to go to see our
Right.
surviving relatives.
Right.
yeah. In America, uh, I'm from Spain, right? So when I was in America, I found the amount of times I saw the American flag and the amount of times I heard the American anthem, before a basketball game, football game, hockey game, any
Mhm.
any sporting event. I'm not talking about the finals. I'm talking about any
Just
game,
every
a regular
game.
game,
Yes.
behind
Correct.
every game, right? And I thought it was a bit over the top. But now you go to India, in India, Sabrina, in the cinema, before the movie starts,
Oh, wow.
before every single movie, doesn't matter if it's in a Hindi movie or an English movie, the national anthem is played, right?
Mhm.
And everyone gets up out of respect. And you should
Yeah.
see if there's somebody in any rows and they're seated, you should see the way the crowd
Yeah.
reacts. Yeah.
I think it's a way
So
to take pride in your country.
correct. But like I'm just thinking the differences. Like in America, if now they played the anthem before every movie, I don't know how the Americans would react. I think they would find it over the top.
Uh, in India, that was actually started by Prime Minister Nehru in 60s after the Chinese invasion.
Mm.
So before actually after the movie ended, there was a national anthem, Jai Hind, and thing like that.
Yeah.
So
So now it's
so no,
before.
no, that is a good trend, and Indians
I like it.
always are patriotic, no question.
I actually find, because I've lived in quite a few countries, I find Indians to be so patriotic. It's, but in a nice way. Like, I find sometimes Americans, when they're patriotic, they're like, oh no, we're the best.
Yeah.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have the best technology, the best education. But sometimes they take it as in we as people, we're the best, we're the greatest. We're number one in Olympics. Whereas in India, I find they find that we're hardworking, we're humble, and we believe in our nation. And no, not everything is working out well, but still we believe in ourselves. And there's I think it's just the most silent pride, as opposed to the Americans who wear it more on the chest.
Yeah, we wear
I
it
don't know
on our
if you,
sleeves.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
And in India, you always uh, have people who never bring India down. If you are talking to them about India, oh, our is a great country, our is a great country. And the guy probably barely making a living, but his patriotism hasn't erased.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I find that remarkable. Sorry, I don't know
Mm.
why we got into that. Sabrina, what are we
No,
talking
No,
about?
no
I
problem at
wanted to
all.
ask you something we ask all our guests, which is what is your definition of success?
And has it changed when you were 20, 30, 40, 50?
Oh,
And
it has
obviously
gone
now as
into
a 60-year-old.
yeah, it has gone into three phrases. Success, as I was told when growing up, get good education, get a good job, get married, and make a lot of money, which I achieved that. So my second phase, now you got marriage, you got a job, now excel in your job and educate your kids, and I have done that. Now I'm in my 70s and 80s, so my concept of success has practically changed 180 degrees. Now the money is not a factor anymore. What I want to do is to leave something for posterity, leave my legacy, and to me personally, I think I achieved my magnum opus and my masterpiece. And I hope 50 years from now, somebody who is doing a research about hospitality industry will find my book and quote me. And
Yes,
so that is to me my success story.
wonderful.
So phase one is myself, dollars, be successful financially, numbers. Phase two is actually now giving to others and my children and making sure that everyone around me is taken care of. And phase three is back to myself, but more my legacy and what am I leaving behind.
Correct. Yes.
And
So
you are
it has
currently in
a
phase three because of your
yeah.
age. So is it an age thing? Is it like
It is
0 to
age.
35, 35 to 70, 70 plus? Or
It is more with age as you go older, your priority changes.
Yeah.
And once you achieve some modicum of success, have enough money, and you don't need to worry. You're not struggling anymore. So you're thinking of, hey, what is my purpose in life? You think in that terms. But in early 20s and 30s, you are more aligned with the competitive world to create something, some niche for yourself.
It's
I think
you phase one, check. Phase two, check. And now
I
you're
Phase
think
three.
checking off
I
phase
think
three.
I think Sabrina and I skipped phase one. Sabrina's already jumped to phase two, and I jumped into phase three.
I like that.
Okay.
What do you enjoy doing on your free time now? Hobbies?
Children, grandchildren,
I have two grandchildren, uh, and I spend time with them. Not as much since the book came out,
they
but
live with you?
uh, pardon. Oh
They
yeah,
live
my,
with
my
you?
daughter lives with me.
So the grandchildren live with you. Okay. How old
Yeah,
are they?
they are 7 and 3.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Very nice. And I an important question is you've achieved a lot in your life. If a young 20-year-old came to you for advice and said, I want to get into journalism, I want to study history like you did, what advice do you have for them?
My advice would be, if you like some subject or some endeavor that you want to do it, do with seriousness and devote all the time you could to achieve your goal. And journalism nowadays is pretty controversial, but in my time was totally different. And though I have a talent, because I went to presidency college and I learned a lot, but when I came to America, my glass ceiling was not open as yet. So I couldn't find a job in New York Times because they told me I had accent. That won't help me.
Would you say you said it's controversial now because of the political aspect of it?
Absolutely, they
Yeah.
are in some section of the community they are considered villain. So Of course, last 8 years, this thing has happened.
Yeah.
But journalism, in Nixon's time was a pretty good field to be in.
Yeah.
And it had the Pentagon Papers and Watergate created a lot of journalists, a lot
Yeah.
of ladies, a lot of women too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have lots of questions. I'm going to try and
sure,
be
please.
brief. I have lots. Okay.
Feel free.
But okay. Uh, First question: presidents. In the last 50 years, which president would you give a 8, 9, or 10 out of 10? Which president would you give a 1 or 2 out of 10? Just one of each. I'm not asking Republican, Democrat. I'm just generally who succeeded and who failed in your eyes.
I have witnessed 8 presidents since I arrived, starting with Lyndon Johnson, Carter, uh, 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 Bush's, and of course Obama's. My Let me start with the low points. Carter. Carter was a great guy, but he was just couldn't do anything right. And the best one, I would say Lyndon Johnson. He inherited from Texas, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. We're actually not far from me. About
Yeah,
45 minutes.
yeah. I admire him. Pretty strong guy, and he did his social policies that helped a lot of people, and he was, of course, brought down by the Vietnam War.
I want to ask you another question. I'm 48, so I'm thinking now of 50 plus. You're 70. You mentioned 70 plus. What
I'm 80.
regrets? You're 80. Wow, you don't look it. So,
Hmm.
what regrets do you have? Not what would you tell a younger person, but what regrets do you have that can be shared as advice? I don't know, you didn't read enough, you didn't stretch enough, you didn't do enough weights, you didn't travel enough, you didn't love enough. I don't know, what are the regrets, that top three? Give me three regrets that you have in your life.
Sure. Uh, in my time, I didn't make enough money.
Okay.
In those days, your opportunities was very limited, and so that's my regret.
Okay.
Secondly, I wish what I know now I knew in 60s and 70s.
In what way?
Uh,
Like
by
academically or
knowledge wise,
comments?
by
What
knowledge
ways?
wise, by
Knowledge.
knowledge,
Okay.
you can get things done now, and if I knew that, I would have done that.
Mhm.
Okay. And third?
And thirdly, um, travel wise, now I practically I travel everywhere. I wish I had an opportunity to work for an American newspaper to really uh, improve my professions. Indian ethnic newspapers are okay, but they don't give you the financial success and the fame as the other one would have done it.
Okay. I thought you were
Okay.
going to say one of your regrets was not asking Hema Malini out on a date.
She was already probably close to getting married with Dharmendra.
You never know if you would have asked her.
Yeah.
Did you know the Hema Malini was involved with one of my Patel founders' relatives?
Wow.
We did not know that.
Sanjeev Kumar, he was a famous actor during the Hema Malini's time.
Okay.
But he was actually Sanjeev Jariwala. He was a Patel from
Okay.
Surat.
Well,
And he
Interesting.
wanted to marry
Sabrina
Hema
and I knowledge of
Malini.
Bollywood is
Yeah, my
is
Bollywood
Absolutely.
trivia is or
I
knowledge
grew up
is
with Bollywood. My
yeah,
hero was Raj Kapoor, Dilip Kumar, and Devanand. My heroes were.
classics.
oh
Yeah.
heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sabrina's heroes are three black American NFL football stars that even I don't know the names. Mine's Michael
Which one is
Jordan
that? The Stroud,
and Leo
the
Messi.
Texas quarterback?
What's that? Sorry.
There is a
Taylor's.
black quarterback
Taylor
for the
Swift's.
Houston, Texas, Stroud.
Okay. Yep.
He's playing very well.
Yes, he is playing well. And then the Cowboys quarterback is out.
Carbo, yeah, he's hurt, but he's
Yeah.
doing
Are
good.
you a 49ers fan?
I am a Kansas City fan.
Can't. So is my daughter because she loves Taylor Swift.
Mahomes, yeah.
When
No,
are they
but
getting
I
married,
follow
Sabrina?
49ers.
Mhm.
When's he proposing?
I don't know. Let me send her a text right now and ask her.
What is he waiting for? More money?
I know. She has opened the doors for that man and his brother.
Hmm.
Yep.
You know they were big
So,
before. Anyway, Sabrina, can you explain the rapid fire to
yes.
MD?
So, we are going to do rapid fire. We will ask you a question and then you answer the first thing that comes to your mind. And that's it. Some are
And we
fun,
want to
some
ask
are
you
serious.
lots of rapid fire questions. So if you can keep your answers short, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Sabrina?
Okay. So, if you could swap lives with someone for a day, who would it be? And it could be someone living or had passed.
I would do Napoleon Bonaparte.
That's an interesting answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
because
Yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
he achieved a lot, being a nobody and become an emperor of Europe. And I always was when I was growing up. I always heard stories about him and how a spider goes up and comes down and keeps going, coming down. So, and Napoleon was impressed by that. He would never give up. And some same thing me. I have when you come in 60s with no money, you struggle a lot, and I went through a lot of struggle. And Napoleon was always my idol in that sense.
Wow.
He was
Interesting.
imperialistic, but to me, it was his thought that impressed me.
Yeah.
Did you see a Gladiator 2, Mahendra?
No, no,
No?
Mm-mm,
no.
not yet.
I was mind blown. It was
Oh,
as
good.
good
It's
as number
good.
one. I
Okay.
Oh,
loved it.
okay.
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, next question. If you had to write a book, not about the Patels, but about your life, your own life, what would the title be?
The man came with nothing and achieved something.
Ah, very nice. If you could instantly become an expert in one skill, what would it be?
How to start a business and carry on.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
What speaking of books, which is the book that you gift the most? Which is your favorite book that you like rereading?
Sh-
Or favorite author?
Uh, Currently, I'm
Other
reading a
than
book.
yourself.
It's called "Who Are We Indians," and it's by a guy called Joseph, uh, and he tells us the story. Who are we Indians? And you'll be very interested to know. He says we all are Indians. We all are migrants, and we are all admixed. In other words, we have the blood of starting with Africans, Dravidians, Iranians, and Eurasians. That means the people from Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and that's where the our Aryans came from.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
We'll add that
And
to Sapiens, books to read.
Right.
so, pen and paper or computer, what's your preferred writing tool?
I handwrite.
Handwrite. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm faster. I think faster, and
Okay.
I'm not as much a computer savvy because I came in 60s here,
Yeah.
and my
For me,
subject
I
is
think faster while typing.
yeah.
Yep.
I think Sabrina will end, but I have one last question.
Go for it.
What's your favorite childhood memory? What do you remember? How young were you? What makes you smile when you sleep at night?
various. I was brought up by my mom, very strong ladies, and she always used to tell a story at night time. Do this, do that, and you will be good. And in those days, success means being good boy. Don't create any troubles for others. So my mother gave me strong advice to grow up, and I still sometimes miss my mom. I say, oh, what would my mother would have done if I'm in this jam to
Oh,
get me out of it?
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
I can relate.
Other thing I want to know that I went to Presidency College, and it created a lot of influence and it inspired me a lot because Presidency College Calcutta is one of those where uh, children of civil servants, children of politicians come. And I had the pleasure of having a college mate, Aparna Sen.
Uh,
Aparna,
Tell
Aparna
us about.
Sen,
Mhm.
she's a famous Bengali actress and director.
Oh, okay. Oh, very
So,
cool.
yeah, so I always tell them, hey, I studied with Aparna Sen.
I
And
love that.
my classmate just died. He was the chief minister of West Bengal. Is
Wow.
Buddhadev Bhattacharya. So
Wow.
have a tradition of learning from my people from the presidency college, my classmates. So I'm very proud of my
Alumni.
college.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sabrina,
Well,
your
the
last
last
question?
word? No,
No,
I'm.
your last question?
Oh, my last question. Okay. My last question is, if there was a song about your life, what would it be?
Bollywood song.
Bollywood song, my
Or
No,
famous
Taylor.
it could
It
singer
be
could be
was
Taylor
any,
Swift. We
any.
don't care. You
It
decide.
could be any song.
famous
It could be
singer
Michael
Mukesh.
Jackson. Which one?
Famous singer was Mukesh, and he had so many sad and good songs. And whenever I'm alone, I listen to his songs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
His
And
name is Mukesh.
Mukesh,
That's his
Mukesh
name,
is
like Madonna, or is there a surname?
yeah, Mukesh in India is very famous. He's one
Oh,
of the
okay.
four great singers like Muhammad Rafi, Mukesh, Lata Mangeshkar,
Hmm.
Oh,
Asa
wow.
That one I
Bhosle.
know.
The,
Do you
Yes.
see that
so
tabla guy
that's
just died?
pardon.
The famous, the famous tabla player.
Oh, famous. No,
What's his
somebody
name?
just passed
Hussein.
away, but I
Hussein, right?
am not too familiar with those.
Okay.
Amit, we need to brush up our knowledge on Bollywood and Indian
This
singers.
this has been a pure lesson on history.
Yes.
A lot
Yes.
of knowledge. Thank you, sir. It's been a real pleasure.
Mm.
And next time you're in India, I don't know if you pass by Bombay, but
I
please.
do.
Okay, great. Let's
In order to
grab a
go to
coffee.
Surat, I have to come by Bombay.
Okay, as long as you don't make me drive to the airport and we can meet somewhere else.
No, I wouldn't do that. I got a few
Okay,
relatives that will do that.
sounds good. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much. It was an honor to have you here. And I believe everyone, this is the masterpiece, Surat to San Francisco. So please order your copy. We will put your link in our show notes for people to order their copy. And it is very interesting, very historical, and something really important we all need to know about our history. So thank you so much for sharing it with the world.
Thank you again, and it was my pleasure to be with you both. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, this has been another episode of Indian Explorers. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. Have a great day, everyone.
Ciao.